I never expected a cleaning lady to teach me the true value of kindness and respect. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The air felt heavy like a weight pressing down on my chest. I had just come home to a quiet house, the silence echoing my thoughts. Life was spiraling. Bills piled up. My dreams flickered like old neon signs. I stumbled into the living room, the sunlight pouring through the window, illuminating the dust particles dancing around me. It smelled stale, like sadness clinging to the corners that S when I met her. Maria, the cleaning lady with a mop and a heartbeat full of stories. I watched her work, her hands moving with purpose. She looked like she belonged to another world. Her head wrapped in a colorful scarf, her clothes simple yet bright against the dullness of my surroundings. I noticed how she hummed softly, a melody that melted the silence. I felt drawn to her like moth to a flame. The first time I spoke to her, my voice trembled. "Do you ever feel trapped?" She paused, her eyes meeting mine in an electrifying moment of connection. I expected her to brush me off, but instead she smiled, the kind of smile that feels like sunlight after a storm. Trapped? Sometimes. But also free. You see, every day is a chance to begin again. Her words wrapped around me, squeezing tight, that I learned she had a son. A boy who dreamed of becoming a doctor. She worked long hours to save for his future. Her stories unfolded like pages of a worn book, filled with joy and heartache. I shared my burdens, my dreams slipping away like sand through my fingers. She listened, really listened, her gaze unwavering. I felt lighter. We shared secrets, laughter, and a warmth that had been absent from my life for so long. One afternoon, everything changed. I came home to an empty house and my chest tightened. There was a note on the table, torn and crumpled, bearing my mother's shaky handwriting. It read, "I can't stay anymore." My heart raced. I felt the world tilting on its axis. In that moment, a deafening silence consumed me. I called Maria, my voice breaking, desperation spilling out. "Can you come?" She arrived within moments, her presence a balm to my aching heart. Without saying a word, she pulled me into a hug. I could feel her heartbeat against mine, steady and strong. I wanted to cry, to scream, to wish for a different reality. Instead, I held on to her, feeling the warmth of her spirit seep into my bones, and then, a soft voice broke the tension. "What if your mother just needed to find herself?" It struck me like a lightning bolt. A truth I hadn't wanted to see. I pulled back, searching her eyes. "What do you mean?" But before she could answer, a noise shattered our moment, a loud crash from the kitchen, followed by a strange silence. I froze, heart pounding, fear constricting my throat. My mind raced with possibilities. I could hear my own heartbeat echo in my ears. Maria's expression shifted. Fear flickered across her gaze, but there was something else, curiosity perhaps. "What was that?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. I stood frozen, a million questions swirling in my mind. I should investigate. What if it was a break-in? Or something worse? And just like that, everything we had shared, the kindness, the vulnerability, hung in the air as the tension thickened. I took a step toward the doorway, but another revelation loomed closer, just beyond my grasp. What awaited us in the shadows? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. I hesitated at the threshold of the kitchen, every nerve ending alert, as the lingering scent of a home-cooked meal mingled with the sharp tang of fear. Maria's hand brushed against my arm, a grounding force. Together we stepped inside, hearts beating in rhythm, unsure of what lay before us. The sight that met our eyes shattered the illusion of safety. Pots and pans lay scattered across the floor, their metallic clanging still reverberating in my mind from the earlier chaos. A mess of flour dust coated the counter, and in the middle of it all stood my mother, eyes wide with panic, battling a small avalanche of ingredients that seemed to have exploded around her. "Mom!" The word escaped my lips, a frantic whisper that echoed in the cavern of my chest. I rushed to her side, trying to tamp down the wave of conflicting emotions that crashed inside me: relief, anger, confusion. "I'm so sorry, darling," she stammered, wiping her hands on her apron, flour smudging her cheeks like war paint. "I just wanted to make your favorite dinner. I thought it would be a nice surprise." I felt like I was caught in a storm, her intentions noble yet misguided. "You can't just surprise me like this." I couldn't keep the frustration from seeping into my voice. The warmth we had shared felt distant, overshadowed by the chaos she had wrought. Why had she left that note? Why hadn't she just talked to me? Maria moved closer, assessing the scene with a softness that cut through my anger. "It's okay, mi querida," she murmured to my mother. "Sometimes we get lost in what we want to create, and it turns into something unexpected." Her empathy radiated through the room, a soothing balm on my turbulent emotions. My mother plastered a weak smile on her face, her hands shaking slightly. "I thought maybe if I made this something beautiful we could just forget everything else for a moment." "What are you trying to forget?" I asked, the edge in my voice softening as I studied her worn features, her vulnerability surfacing like hidden treasure. The weariness etched on her face reminded me of our own struggles, how the weight of the world can blur even the simplest of intentions. "I don't know, honey. Maybe I just thought I could take care of you again," she admitted, her voice cracking with the weight of her unspoken guilt. "I feel so lost." At that moment, in the midst of the turmoil, I caught a flicker of hope. Perhaps I wasn't the only one trapped. It wrapped around my heart, igniting a faint glimmer of understanding. I reached out and took her flour-stained hand in mine. "We can find our way back together." Maria silently busied herself, tidying up some of the mess, focusing on things within her control, all while shooting me warm glances as if whispering encouragement in a language only we could understand. Watching her, I felt buoyed by an unexpected kinship, one that transcended the chaos enveloping us. But just as I thought we were finding a fragile equilibrium, the air shifted. A sudden loud knock interrupted the moment, pounding on the front door like a thunderclap. My heart raced again, a pulse of foreboding coursing through me. Who could it be? My mother and Maria exchanged a worried glance, their faces a mix of confusion and concern. I took a deliberate breath and steadied myself. "Stay here," I whispered and turned toward the door, each footfall heavier than the last as I approached. The knocking continued, insistent and unyielding. I hesitated for just a moment, knowing I should prepare for the worst. My mind raced with possibilities. Was it someone from the past? A figure hiding in the shadows of my memories? I grasped the doorknob, heart pounding, and swung it open. There, standing on the threshold, was a face I had never expected to see again, a figure from my childhood, now hardened but familiar. The eyes that met mine were filled with a storm of feelings, illuminated by the same sunlight that had once warmed my heart. "Hey," he said softly, "we need to talk." Frozen in disbelief, I felt the ground shift beneath my feet. This was another storm, one I hadn't even seen coming. The door swung open as if it were a portal to another world, and I stood there, straddling the line between the past and the present. The man on the doorstep had changed. The joy and innocence of childhood had been replaced by a hardened exterior. Yet his eyes still held the same warmth that once enveloped our summers like golden sunshine. My breath caught in my throat. "Tomas?" I murmured, letting the name slip like a whisper of old memories. It felt foreign yet achingly familiar. Time had done its work on him just as it had on me. He shifted nervously, waiting for some kind of breakthrough. "I know it's been a long time," he continued, his voice heavy with unspoken words. "I am not here to cause trouble. I just need to explain." A rush of emotions crashed over me: joy, resentment, confusion. How could he just show up after all these years? After everything that had been left unsaid? My heart raced as I glanced back over my shoulder at my mother, who had cautiously joined me, her flour-dusted apron now a relic of our earlier chaos. "Can we talk inside?" he asked, scanning the room behind me. There was a tremor in his voice, a vulnerability that caught me off guard. Some impulse, a mix of curiosity and unresolved anger, drove me to step aside and let him in. "Fine," I said, the word heavier than I intended. I closed the door behind him with a resolute click, sealing in the emotions that swirled like a storm. He stood awkwardly in the middle of the kitchen, eyes darting from my mother, who looked like a deer caught in headlights, to Maria, who observed the exchange with an unreadable expression. I could sense the tension tightening the air, thick and electric. I didn't know if I would find you here, he started, his gaze finally settling on me. I thought, well, I really messed things up back then. What do you want, Tomas? I asked, bitterness lacing my words, my own wounds fresh and raw. After all this time, what could you possibly have to say that would mean anything? He swallowed hard, emotion flickering in his eyes as he glanced at my mother. I came to apologize. For everything. For disappearing. For leaving you all without a word. I was scared. I didn't know how to be someone who could help you. My heart twisted at his admission, but the scars of abandonment still stung like fresh cuts. You were supposed to be my friend, and when things got tough, you just vanished. I know. I can't change the past. But I've thought about you every day since. He paused, biting down on his vulnerability as if it pained him. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just wanted you to know that I've changed. I'm trying to be better. A piercing silence followed, each of us caught in the turmoil of old promises and lost friendships, shapes of who we once were refracting through time like broken glass. Behind me, I felt Maria's presence shift, a gentle reminder that even in despair, there was light to be found. Why Mother spoke then, her voice trembling yet firm. We all have our battles, Tomas. It's how we face them that shapes who we are. Her wisdom cut through the air with a measure of grace, and I found my perspective changing, if only just slightly. Mom, I said cautiously, her wisdom grounding me, it's not just about forgiveness. It's about trust. I know. I'm not ready to trust someone who walked away when I needed them most. The words escaped me louder than I intended, and a blush crept up my cheeks. He lowered his head, understanding the enormity of my pain reflected in his posture. I wouldn't expect you to. But I'm here now trying to make it right. Suddenly, I felt the burden of uncertainty lift. If only for a fleeting moment. A flicker of hope ignited like a candle's flame amid the shadows. Yet still doubt lurked in the corners of my mind, wrapping its icy fingers around the warmth of that small flicker. Would I allow him back into my heart, or would I seal it off forever? The tension thickened again, as if we all held our breath, waiting for the next turn, the moment of reckoning. Just as I opened my mouth to respond, another loud knock reverberated through the air, more urgent, more demanding than before. My heart raced anew, fear coursing through my veins. What now? I whispered, dread hanging heavy around us. Tomas stepped closer, eyes fierce with intention. You stay inside. I'll handle this. The protective instinct in his voice took me by surprise, igniting the smallest spark of hope amidst the confusion swirling in my chest. But just then, as he reached for the door, it flew open, revealing a figure that sent an icy shiver through my resolve. A man clad in dark leather, face obscured by shadows yet exuding a sense of danger that coiled around us like smoke. I've come for what's mine, he growled, the threat in his voice too palpable to ignore. The room erupted into chaos, pushing the boundaries of my emotional fortitude, as I felt the ground beneath us tremble once more, reminding me that the storms of our past were far from over. The man in leather stood there, every inch of him radiating menace as he surveyed us like a hawk eyeing its prey. My breath hitched in my throat, and every piece of courage I had mustered moments before vanished into the air. Who are you? I demanded, my voice trembling despite my effort to sound defiant. The softness of my question waged war with the adrenaline coursing through my veins. That he chuckled, dark and mocking, as if my fear fed him. You'll soon find out. But let me make one thing clear. I'm here for what's due, and it's not just about you. His gaze flickered to Tomas, whose protective stance had only just begun to dissolve in the face of this new threat. Stay back, Tomas warned, slowly shifting his weight as if ready to defend us at any cost. You don't want this. You don't know what you're stepping into. Silence fell heavily in the room, punctuated only by the frantic beat of my heart, and the soft rustle of my mother's apron as she clutched the edge of the kitchen island. She stood resolutely, the embodiment of a mother's fierce love. And right now her instincts screamed survival. Tomas, you can't, I whispered, fear clawing at my throat. We don't know who he is or what he wants. The man's smile widened, revealing teeth too sharp for comfort. You should listen to her, Tomas. It might save you a world of pain. The chilling resonance of his words made me shiver. Just leave us the hell alone. I shouted, desperation creeping into my voice. Whatever you want, you can't have it here. Panic surged as uncertainty washed over me like a tidal wave. But here is where it all started, I senti it. The man leaned against the doorframe, too comfortable for someone who should be threatening. And wouldn't it be poetic to end it here? He lifted a gloved hand, gesturing dismissively. I'm not looking to fight, at least not yet. I just came to collect what's owed. This doesn't concern the two of you yet. Dread clawed at my heart as I caught Tomas looking at me. Worry etched across his face. Stay back, don't let him provoke you, he said quietly. I won't let him hurt you, I replied, feeling torn between fear and an instinct to shield him, even if it meant standing against an unknown menace. The man laughed, a sound devoid of mirth. You think this bravado works? You think you can defend him? Just remember, young lady, fear is a far more potent weapon than bravery. Enough. My mother's voice rang out, shaking slightly but firm as steel. You're trespassing. Whatever your vendetta is, it should not involve my family. I'll call the police if you don't leave this instant. For a moment, the man's expression shifted. Annoyance flared briefly before he settled back into his cushioned confidence. Call them then. I have all day. His eyes flickered with something unholy and amused anticipation that made my skin crawl, and the freeze of that moment. The weight of my memories collided with the present threat. Everything I had been through flooded back, each loss and betrayal echoing like a haunting refrain. I turned, searching for the glimmer of hope, the kindness I had felt when Tomas first walked through the door. But doubt had crept back in, and with it, the darkness began to feel all-consuming. Just then, something miraculous happened. A soft knock fluttered through the chaos, almost polite amid the turmoil. I turned, instinct screaming for both caution and hope. The door hummed like a heartbeat, the sound healing in its promise. Who is it now? The man growled, irritation flashing in his darkened eyes. Tomas stood close behind me, guarding my back. His presence provided the barest sliver of comfort against the tension emanating from the shadow in the doorway. My heart quickened as I called out, "Who is it? Is this the Rodriguez household?" A gentle voice asked, a voice soft yet filled with rhythm and warmth, like warm tea on a winter day. My heart sank. It was Abuela Maria, our elderly neighbor, known for her unwavering kindness. Chills danced along my spine as the weight of uncertainty threatened to crush me. "Please, not now. Go away," I shouted, in a panic, certain all hope would shatter if this intrusion turned violent. "She's just a cleaning lady," the dark figure scoffed. "What could she possibly want? Open the door." My grandmother's voice called out, filled with a calm authority that beckoned light. I heard voices. "I simply came to check on you, all of you. Let me in." The laughter that exploded from the man turned harsh and mocking. "You think a cleaning woman can help you? This is not a fairy tale, Querida. Your knight in worn-out armor can't protect you now." The door swung open and there stood Abuela, her silver hair glowing in the sunlight, cradling a basket filled with fruit. An almost surreal serenity surrounded her, breaking the tension like dawn pushing against a thick blanket of night. "What is happening here?" she asked, her voice unwavering and rich with concern. She caught sight of the menacing figure, her expression unfaltering. "And why are you trespassing?" Everything seemed to pause as the man stared at her, something like disdain spilling into his gaze. "You shouldn't meddle in things you don't understand, old woman." "I understand more than you realize," she replied, taking a step forward. "And it seems your heart is lost in darkness. I want to allow you to bring it here." In that moment, a flicker of something pure and resolute emanated from her: hope, warmth, an offer of grace. Could her kindness be strong enough to light even the darkest shadows? Yet as the tension unraveled around us, the man's hand morphed into a fist and his body tensed. "You shouldn't have come here, Abuela," he hissed through clenched teeth. "You've sealed your fate with your meddling." Just when I thought the atmosphere could not grow heavier, another knock rang out, a raucous, explosive bang that shook the fragile remnants of my composure. The sound echoed with urgency, and I felt every piece of my world teetering on the edge of oblivion. Did my past haunt my present? Would my family, my bond with Tomas, survive this dark storm that now confronted us? "Who's there?" I cried, desperation bubbling to the surface just as the old wounds of betrayal reawakened. But hope buoyed inside my chest as I realized that perhaps the tide was turning. The world around us kept spinning. Sometimes people carry burdens we cannot see. I clung to that thought as, behind me, Tomas, Abuela, and my mother gathered close, a united front against the gathering darkness. The chilling eyes of the man bore down on us, a storm brewing as secrets unraveled like thread, and an unexpected wave of strength surged through me. But just as I felt prepared to face the tempest, the door behind me shattered with an impact that sent shards flying into chaos, opening the way to something unknown, something waiting to devour us whole. As a figure stepped through the wreckage, cloaked in shadows but unmistakably familiar, the haunting truth of who we were clashed vividly against the unrelenting horizons of who we might still become. The air crackled with tension as the dust settled around the entrance where darkness converged with the emerging figure stepping through the wreckage. For an instant time stood still, and the weight of fear and uncertainty hung thick. I fought against the instinct to recoil, my heart hammering in my chest as recognition tugged at the edges of my mind. Victor? I breathed, the name escaping my lips like a prayer. He was the last person I had expected to see here, and yet, somehow, the sight of him ignited the tiniest spark of hope amidst the chaos. He stepped further into the room, his face obscured beneath a hood that shadowed his features. But his eyes' deep pools of troubled warmth searched mine, as if they held answers to questions I had yet to ask. I heard your voice, he said, his tone urgent but low, almost reverent, as he began to survey the situation unfolding before him. The man in leather straightened, something akin to fury flickering in his gaze. You're in the wrong place, boy. This doesn't concern you. Victor didn't flinch. It concerns me more than you know, he shot back, his voice steady, unwavering. Leave this family alone. I turned, looking at Tomas and Abuela, both of them caught in a breathless moment of disbelief. Abuela's sharp intake of breath was loud as she recognized Victor, a flash of worry mingling with the understanding of shadows that lingered far too close to us all. Victor, you shouldn't be here, I uttered, feeling a rush of confusion. This isn't your fight. Isn't it? He replied, stepping forward with quiet defiance, his presence carving a path through the darkness. You fought for so long. You deserve to find the light. You all do. Don't romanticize this, boy. The sinister man sneered, flicking his gaze between Victor and us with contempt. You really think you can shield them? You're just a nuisance. Better a nuisance than an executioner, Victor shot back, every syllable brimming with alarming confidence. A tremor ran through me, a mix of fear and admiration for Victor's courage in the face of such threat. I realized then that deep down, I had hoped he would come, even as I struggled to suppress it out of fear of losing yet another person to the shadows that loomed over us. But Victor's bold words only intensified the tension in the room. The man straightened, his eyes flashing with fury. You have no idea what you're playing with. Don't test me. With you here I'm not afraid, Victor asserted. He glanced at me then. A fleeting moment where the world around us faded to nothing else. I saw not just a resemblance to the boy I had known, but a man willing to risk it all for those he cared about, an echo of the kindness that had constantly rallied me back to my feet. But before I could fully register my feelings or think of how to act, the dark figure lunged forward, a dangerous blur of motion. The air crackled with anticipation. Tomas was there in an instant, moving before I could comprehend, positioning himself protectively between me and the impending storm. Get back! He shouted, his voice strained, muscles tensed and ready to spring. Just as the two figures collided in a blur of shadows and chaos, a flash came from my left, a sudden burst of light as Abuela reached into her basket and pulled out a small, intricately carved amulet, the symbol glowing faintly against the engulfing darkness. Leave them be, she cried, raising the amulet like a shield. Your darkness cannot touch the light. I won't let you. A stunned silence enveloped us momentarily, as the man's advance halted, his eyes widening with disbelief. What is this? He spat, astonished. That, my dear, is hope, Abuela replied, her voice calm yet filled with determination. It is the resilience of love and kindness that has endured through the years. You don't understand what you're up against. As the power of her words rippled through the remaining echoes of dread, something remarkable happened. The shadows around us bristled, vibrating with uncertainty as the amulet's glow expanded, illuminating the room in a warm embrace. But my heart raced, anew, conflicted between fear and glimmering belief. Could this really change the tide? I looked at Tomas, anxiety etched in the lines of his brow, and at Victor, who stood ready for whatever dark force sought to crush our spirits. Before the sinister figure could fully process the unfolding scene, the door that Victor had entered through rattled violently and insistent banging echoed ominously. "Is someone in there?" A muffled voice called from the other side. A frantic urgency that sent a chill racing through my veins. "Why can't anyone just stay away?" I muttered under my breath, overwhelmed by the mounting confusion and worry. But this determined voice was layered with a familiarity that sent my instincts flaring. Who could it be? And more importantly, what would they find if they entered? Victor's face hardened as he glanced toward the door, and I noticed a flicker of uncertainty cross his features. "No, it can't be him." "Who?" I gasped, barely able to process the tumult of emotions battering against my chest. Several strands of dread tightened around my heart, and I clutched Tomas's hand for comfort. The door burst open, revealing a figure silhouetted against the soft light outside. As the shadows receded to reveal their face, a collective gasp filled the room, a string of revelations and betrayals ready to crash against youth. It was someone I had once trusted, someone I thought lost to the very darkness now encroaching upon our world, a link to the past that held the power to alter everything. The gesture of love and kindness I had clung to through my struggles now felt precarious as the line between allies and enemies blurred. "Yara," the figure said. An unsettling mixture of joy and regret etched across their features. My heart plunged into a chasm of despair. Was this rescue or the start of something infinitely worse? The words hung in the air like a thick fog, enveloping us in a mixture of familiarity and dread. I blinked, trying to make sense of the figure standing at the threshold. Yara. Her name rang like a chime through my memories, both nostalgic and tainted with bittersweet shadows. The cleaning lady who had found us solace in moments of chaos. Her laughter like the sun breaking through storm clouds. But the truth behind her presence propelled my mind into a whirlwind of confusion. Victor's gaze locked onto her, his uncertainty morphing into a smoldering resentment. "Why are you here?" he demanded, the edge of protectiveness woven into his tone. Her expression softened momentarily, but there was something fragile in her demeanor, as if she bore the weight of multiple secrets wrapped tightly around her. I came as soon as I heard. "I couldn't let it end like this," she said, her voice steady despite the quiver of vulnerability beneath. "And like this?" Tomas echoed incredulously, still positioned like a bulwark between me and the encroaching threat. "What do you know about any of this?" Before Yara could answer, the man in leather regained his composure, his sneer returning fiercer than before. "You've brought reinforcements? How quaint." He stepped forward, the shadows swirling around him like a predator stalking its prey. "But you'll regret this, girl. You know nothing." "I know enough," Yara countered, her voice rising above the gathering tension. "Kindness can shatter darkness if you give it the chance. This is not just a fight. It's a reminder of who we can be." Her words hung in the air for a heartbeat, a fragile barrier against the looming dread. I felt Tomas's hand squeeze mine tighter, an anchor holding me steady as my emotions began to churn. Part of me was grateful for her return. Another part recoiled, fearful of what her appearance might unleash. "Why do I get the feeling you're not just here to offer help?" Victor asked, his tone still cautious. "You were supposed to be safe from all this." "I tried to be," Yara replied earnestly, stepping deeper into the room. "But the darkness doesn't stay away just because we wish it does. I thought I could protect you from afar, but I was wrong. I can't let it take you all." The sinister man laughed, a sound devoid of warmth. "Such lavish idealism. It makes you weak. You'll see how futile your efforts are when you watch them fall apart in front of you." But Yara didn't waver. "No more fear. No more hiding," she declared, her voice filled with the kind of fervor that stirred something deep within me. Hope began to unfurl, a fragile flower pushing through the cracks of concrete. Here was someone who believed in the power of kindness, even amidst the chaos. "Then we fight together, all of us," I said, my own voice choked but determined. I felt embers of strength gathering in my chest, surpassing the overwhelming dread that had tethered my soul. Tomas shared a glance with me, uncertainty still shadowing his eyes. Victor, on the other hand, emanated a fierce kind of resolve that encouraged my growing courage. And within their shared resolve, the contrast of our fears and determination ignited a flicker of safety. Yet just as hope began to weave its web between us, the room began to tremble, a quiet shift in the atmosphere. one that carried the scent of foreboding. The man's eyes flared with dark glee as if fed by our pain. You think you can band together against me? You don't even know what I can unleash. With that, the ground beneath us trembled violently, and an ominous darkness fluttered behind him, coalescing into ethereal forms that slithered about the room like wraiths, each emanating despair. No, Yara cried, her expression growing frantic. We have to stand firm. Remember the light. Victor stepped forward, his voice rising to battle with the encroaching shadows. Then let us show them what the light can do. Before we could gather our thoughts and come together, I heard a soft thud from behind Yara, a muted sound that seeped into my heart like ice. A faint figure stepped forward, a resemblance so striking. It felt as if I had been thrust back in time, a younger version of Yara, glowing with hope yet drenched in shadows that trailed her like a lost puppy. Save me please, the younger girl spoke in a whisper, her voice echoing through my veins like a siren-esque call. They 1T let go of me, my world turned dark as I turned to Yara, my breath catching as the weight of the revelation crashed upon me. This was her past, haunting her in a moment of deepest despair. What are you? I gasped, clutching the edge of the table to steady myself. Yara's face blanched. The strength she had clung to flickered as the shadows danced ever nearer. I didn't know she would come back, she breathed, the color draining from her face. This is not just a fight for us, I shouted, fingers trembling around my heart. It's a fight for her. I felt the shadows pull tighter, too close now, their chill beginning to creep around my skin. Hope battled against fear as Yara's past merged with her present, and I realized we had unwittingly opened a Pandora's box. As the walls shuddered and the darkness threatened to envelop us entirely, I had never felt so exposed. Would we lose Yara, alongside the girl from her past? Or could we embrace the light and find the strength to emerge whole? The outcome wavered like a candle flickering in a storm. I could only hope we still carried that spark within us as everything around began to fade to black. The room was now an oppressive battleground, shadows encroaching with a malicious hunger, clawing at our resolve. Yara stood frozen, paralyzed not by fear, but by the heft of memories crashing around her like waves threatening to drown her. The younger version of herself clung to her, imploring, "Save me please." Her pleading voice echoed in my ears, a haunting refrain that stirred both compassion and dread within me. Victor's voice broke through the murky haze, a rallying cry, "Yara, focus. We can't let this darkness consume us." His strength shone bright, a beacon pulling at the threads of courage I was desperate to weave together. Yara's gaze darted between us, the specter of her past echoing the unthinkable choices she had made, the sacrifices that had led to this moment. "I never wanted you to see this, then let us help you," I shouted, reaching out, drawing on the threads of connection that had built between us. "You are not alone." With that, I took a step toward the girl, Yara's younger self, the embodiment of her anguish. "You may be a part of her story, but you don't get to dictate how it ends." My voice quivered, but I could feel the embers of determination igniting something within me. The shadows seemed to recoil for a moment, hesitation flickering in their malevolent grasp. The air hung heavy, time bending under the tension, and for an instant, it felt as if even the dark wraiths understood the fragility of their dominion. "Yara," I continued, keeping my focus on her, "you've overcome so much. You have the strength to face this. To face her." I felt Tomas move closer, his steadiness complementing my own. Yara's tears glistened in the dim light, a blend of despair and longing as she took a shuddering breath. "I don't know how I'm so scared." "Scared is good, it means you care," Tomas said gently, his voice steady yet laced with kindness. "Let us confront this together. You're not meant to fight alone." And there it was, a flicker of something deeper, a recognition that the past does not entirely define us. Hope seeped through her vulnerability like sunlight breaking through dismal clouds. "Together?" she murmured, seeking affirmation. "Yes, together," Victor exclaimed, stepping between the shadows and Yara, an unmovable wall. "But you have to take that first step. Show her she is safe here." With a trembling heart, Yara extended her hand toward the younger version of herself. "I'm so sorry," she whispered, her voice raw, and I could see both love and pain etched in her features. "I should have been stronger. I should have saved you." Instantly, the specter of her past flinched back, darkness swirling around her like a tempest. "You abandoned me," the young Yara cried, her innocence marred by the pain of being left behind. "No, Yara responded fiercely, determination fueling her words. I've fought every day to live in a world where you wouldn't have to suffer. I didn't abandon you. You're part of me and I will protect you now. As the words left her lips, the shadows began thrumming violently, drawn to the unbound energy of Yara's resolve. It felt as if they twitched, aching in reaction, reflecting the tumult of their frayed threads. The young girl's expression softened, and in that vulnerable moment, clarity descended upon us like a gentle rain. Together? She echoed, mirroring Yara's plea. Vulnerability echoed and magnified. Yes, my heart beats for you, Yara affirmed as tears streamed down her face. As long as I'm alive, I will fight for you. With the power of her words, something within the room shifted. The darkness shrieked, its tendrils lashing out and retreating under the force of Yara's burgeoning strength. Gradually, the shadows receded, retreating into the corners of the room like a scorned creature, a testament to the strength of their bond and Yara's rekindled hope. But just as the tranquility began to settle, a sharp crack sliced through the air, and a figure materialized, silhouetted against the light. The man in leather, his face twisted into a mask of rage. You think this is over? He spat, flames flickering in his eyes like a dying sun. You've only made me stronger. He gestured violently, and the room erupted in chaos once more, walls vibrating with anger. Shadows lunged at us, grasping for our throats, but this time we stood united, arms intertwined, an unbreakable bond forged in trust and resilience. But amidst the chaos, another fracture emerged, one that drew my attention away from the fray. A heavy thud echoed faintly from the depths of the shadows, a distant crash bearing the weight of forgotten echoes. Help! A voice barely rose above the commotion, unfamiliar yet resonant, a cry of urgency slipping dangerously through the tearing veil. Who is that? I shouted, fear prickling at my spine. Victor turned, determination painted across his face. We don't have time to find out. But I could feel my heart race, sensing that whatever lay beneath the darkness was crucial, a missing piece of the puzzle that could shift the battle in our favor. I felt the urgency pulling me closer, claws of fate urging me to take action. What if I hesitated, gripping my resolve? What if that voice is connected to this darkness? The answer was evident. The stakes could not be higher. A decision loomed heavy over us like a storm cloud ready to burst. We needed to confront the deeper secrets, no matter how terrible, that threatened to tear us apart. As the shadows loomed ever larger, the chaos crescendoed around us and time felt suspended in dread. My heart pounded wildly, and I knew we were standing on the precipice of something monumental, and I could either step forward or let the darkness swallow us whole. Together, we cried out, voices melding into one. But as we prepared to face what lay hidden beneath the chaos, I felt the chills of an unstoppable revelation creeping into my mind, a harrowing connection, an uninvited possibility hanging in the air. Could it be the shadows were just a mirror, reflecting not only Yara's past, but the darkest parts buried deep within us all? The shadows writhed in a chaotic dance, their movements reflecting a fevered energy that crackled in the air around us. My pulse matched the rhythm, a visceral echo of the uncertainty that gripped my heart. Together we had vowed, yet each heartbeat that followed felt like a countdown to an uncertain fate. Victor, Yara, and I stood resolute, locked in this moment of nerve and bravery. But the figure in leather, with eyes like embers aglow with malice, held a twisted smile that revealed his enjoyment of our struggle. You're foolish to think you can save her. You are linked to this darkness just as she is. You will never escape your own reflection. His voice sliced through the turmoil, a reminder of the fears lurking beneath our shared strength. Stop! I yelled, feeling a surge of defiance rush through me. We will break this cycle. Drawing closer to Yara and Victor, I felt our collective resolve radiate warmth and armor against the encroaching shadows. Yara, her face a tapestry of emotion, stared back at her younger self, who still hovered in the tumult, caught in the middle of a fierce battle both within and without. I'll always be with you, she said, her voice steady despite the chaos, a promise echoing through her fear. But I need you to fight with me. The girl froze, the weight of Yara's assurance mingled with the shadow's whispers. What have we been fighting for? The younger Yara's voice was small, trembling yet filled with a curiosity that reached out for comfort. For love, Yara replied softly. For hope. For what we can become, not just what we were. Each word seemed to shatter another thread of darkness, pulling back the shadows and unveiling lost memories of camaraderie, laughter and shared dreams. An unexpected moment of stillness surrounded us, a crack in the chaos, and for a heartbeat, the darkness fell silent, as if paused at the precipice of our collective strength. Kindness, respect, I murmured, recalling bits of shared conversations we've had amidst the fears that bound us. What if we showed it to ourselves? The question hung in the air, swirling like autumn leaves caught in a gentle breeze, raw and unfiltered. Victor grasped my shoulder, his eyes alight with an understanding that sparked hope within me. That's it. We've been taught to harden ourselves, to fight against this darkness. But perhaps the answer lies in embracing our vulnerabilities, and showing ourselves the same compassion we've shown each other. A flicker of uncertainty clouded Yara's features, but then, there it was, a glimmer of realization dawning in her eyes. You're right. She turned to her younger self, so fragile and frightened, and said, I've spent so long sacrificing, blaming, and punishing myself. But I see you now. I want to protect you, but I also need to forgive myself for what happened. At that declaration, the younger self hesitated, the flicker of hope budding against the weight of despair. Can you? After everything? I will if you forgive me too. It's time we rewrite the story together. Yara's voice steadied as she reached through the chaos, her hand extended toward the younger version. Trembling but determined in response, the shadows thrashed violently, and the figure in leather sneered. This is futile. You think forgiveness will save you? It will only make you weaker. But Yara's expression didn't waver. She was growing stronger, and the bond between her and her younger self began to shimmer, illuminating the darkness encroaching upon us. No, it will make us whole. As if drawn by an unseen force, the younger Yara stepped forward, extending her small hand, trembling but hopeful. Their fingers touched, and in that instant, a shockwave radiated outward, rippling through the shadows that had bound her for so long. The darkness shrieked, a sound of fury as it recoiled, but its venomous essence clung tenaciously to the edges of our resolve. Just when it seemed the shadows might relent, a new chill swept through the room, and my heart sank as I turned toward the source. I could still hear that voice, hauntingly familiar yet unnervingly distant. Help! There it was again, clearer this time, compounding the urgency and frantic energy swirling around us. Someone is trapped in here. Panic flared within me, merging with the resolve that had taken root. We have to find them. Stay focused, Victor urged, but I sensed beneath his certainty a flicker of anxiety. If we get distracted, the darkness will consume us. Yet as I locked eyes with Yara and Victor, an undeniable truth resonated deep within my core. We had to uncover every secret, every lost soul tethered beneath the chaos that sought to drown us. What if this is more than that voice? I asked, the realization settling heavily upon us. What if that person is our last thread of hope? Yara nodded, the tether of her past interwoven with this possibility. We can't abandon them. The shadows were swirling once more, fierce and unyielding like tempestuous waves crashing against our resolve. Just as we squared our shoulders to push through, the room trembled, and from the depths of the darkness, a ghostly figure began to form, one that sent ice through my veins. A familiar face emerged, indistinct yet strikingly vivid to my memory, and my heart dropped. No, it can't be, I whispered, a chill encasing the warmth that had momentarily fueled our hope. Yes, the figure called, voice echoing through the fray, cutting through the chaos like a blade. You may have saved her, but you can't escape me. Your past is about to devour your future. The truth unfurled like a nightmare coming to life. An unspeakable burden demanding to be acknowledged, a revelation that might sever our bond and engulf the light we had fought so hard to kindle. The shadows writhed and shifted, swirling around the figure like the bitter winds of a storm. My heart raced as recognition crashed over me in waves. It was her, the reflection of a moment long buried, the one I thought I had outrun. Lyra, I breathed, the name escaping my lips like a curse. The ghostly figure stood there, every line of her face etched with the weight of regret and pain-infused nostalgia. You fought so hard to forget me, she said with a familiar weariness. But the moment you ran away, you forged the chains that bind you still. Yara and Victor exchanged glances of uncertainty, their resolve flickering. I could feel the tremors of hesitation between us, laying bare the truths we had all tried to mask. Why are you here? I said, my voice steely though my insides twisted with dread. You don't belong in this fight. This is a battle for our future. And yet your past is entwined in every heartbeat, every decision, she replied softly, the shadows coiling around her like a cloak. You're here because you haven't fully forgiven yourself yet. And until you do, you'll remain tethered to the fear that binds this dark space. The echoes of her words were painful, each syllable a stark reminder of the unresolved wounds clinging to my heart. I didn't want to engage with this ghost. I wanted to fight the darkness and save Yara. But the truth was a gnawing weight in my chest, demanding recognition. Lyra, what do you want from us? Victor asked, his resolve faltering as he stepped closer to me. I want you to face what you fear the most. Her eyes held mine with a haunting intensity. You want to save everyone else, but first you must save yourself. Before they were lost to you, your kindness was a force of light. When was the last time you believed you were worthy of that kindness? I flinched, her words cutting deeper than any blade ever could. Memories surged, snapshots of warmth stifled by fists of regret. Each kindness muttered through gritted teeth, veiled behind a facade I had constructed to shield myself from pain. I don't know, I whispered, feeling the weight of my own despair tighten around my jaw. I don't know how you'll find what you need, she whispered, her voice echoing through the tempest, imbued with a softness that ignited the remnants of my hope. But perhaps you need to start believing that your wounds have a voice too. They echo your worth. Yara reached for me, her hand trembling as she stared at the vision of my past. You need to embrace this, to let it guide you. It's a part of you, both shadow and light. I glimpsed the courage in her gaze, a reminder of our intertwined journey, filled with both suffering and strength. Before I could respond, a wave of tumult surged around us. The shadows roared, seemingly angry at the resolve we began to foster once more. The figure in leather howled with rage. You're faltering. You think whispering promises to your lost selves will grant you salvation? You're merely prolonging your suffering. But Yara stepped forward, facing the sneering figure. No, we're choosing to acknowledge our pain and turn it into strength. We'll strip away the masks we wear. Her voice rang clear and true, echoing with the gravity of the truth we had come to understand, and in that moment, courage blossomed within me as Victor whispered the words I needed to hear. You are enough just as you are. Your past doesn't define you. It's a part of who you've become. His faith anchored me, reminding me that the bonds we forged could hold safe even the shards of ourselves we feared to confront. I looked at Yara, then back to Lyra. I won't run anymore. I'll confront the pain, the fear. I'll reclaim my worth. Lyra's ghostly silhouette shimmered, surprise threading through the air around us. Then step forward, my friend, and take the first step toward healing. The shadows paused as if reconsidering their assault, caught off guard by our burgeoning resolve. But just as I moved, ready to embrace every aspect of myself, a powerful jolt surged through the room. The darkness cracked and splintered, a roaring rush that rattled the very foundations of our resolve. No, the figure in leather bellowed. You cannot face yourself. You will fall. As the chaos surged, our connection wavered, a flicker of uncertainty drawing us apart, threatening to sever the fragile light we had nurtured. Stay together. Don't let the darkness take you, Victor shouted, his urgency palpable against the fray. In that final moment, I held tight to Yara and Victor, feeling the tremors of the slashing shadows entwine with the desperation clawing at my chest. But then from the depths of the onslaught, another voice emerged, familiar yet distant, weaving through the maelstrom and wrapping itself around my heart like a lifeline. Trust me, please. You must believe. My breath caught, the world around us spiraling as I searched for the source. But it was swallowed up by darkness, leaving just the echoes of that pleading call, a flicker of hope that surged through the shadows, beckoning us to embrace it. As the chaos roared, I stood on the precipice, my heart pounding with the weight of uncertainty and the surge of something more, a realization clawing its way to the forefront of my soul, one undeniable and shattering. This voice was someone I thought lost forever. Who was it? And in seeking their salvation, would I find my own? The shadows convulsed around us, surging with relentless fury as I stood on the edge of an abyss, teetering between despair and redemption. The echoes of that distant plea reverberated in my mind, anchoring me amidst the chaos that threatened to engulf not just me, but everyone I had come to love. Trust me, please. My heart thudded against my ribcage, the weight of recognition surging like water against a dam ready to burst. A name, or at least the whisper of a name, brushed against my consciousness like a soft breeze in winter. Elena. The confusion clawed at my throat, both fear and hope mingling within me. Was it even possible? Could the shadows tell me that a piece of my past remained, woven into my future? Focus, Yara urged, her voice cutting through the cacophony. The darkness is learning, and it thrives on our hesitation. But hesitation clung to me, a cloak of familiarity wrapped so tightly around my spirit. Was I truly blocking out Elena, allowing my unresolved grief to chain me? The memories felt like thorns, painful yet unmistakably essential to unearth. Without further thought, I took a step forward, compelled by the slowly flickering flame of understanding. You're right. I can't run anymore. I need to face this, to embrace her. As if sensing my resolve, the figure in leather surged forward, darkness knitting around him, ready to crush the fragile light we had managed to nurture. You think this act of defiance will sway the outcome? You're chained to your past, and I'll gladly push you headfirst into its depths. Not if we stand together. Victor's voice rose above the noise, ringing fiercely with determination. We are more than just our pasts. We've formed bonds that cannot be severed. The shadows bucked and twisted, furious at the audacity of our unity. The insistent laughter of the figure sent shivers down my spine as he charged towards us. But I felt something shift within me, a dawning realization that the shadows fueled their attacks on fear. Our shared strength was blossoming like flowers through asphalt, irrepressible and determined. Together I echoed, locking onto Yara's resolute gaze and Victor's fierce determination. I took a deep breath, grounding myself as I locked eyes with the shadow of my past, the haunting figure of Elena flickering just beyond the dissolving veil. I will not let you take my light away. Beyond the din, a crystalline voice whispered through the depth of darkness again. Believe in your worth. Save us all. It surged through my heart like a pulse of divine truth, compelling and familiar like a siren call coaxing to the shores of memory. Please, Elena. I cried out, desperation spilling into my voice. Come back to me. I need you. The darkness recoiled momentarily, as if Elena's essence were a forbidden thread woven into its heart. The figure in leather hissed, anger flickering in his eyes. You must choose. Cherish the shadows or embrace the light of foolishness. Yara squeezed my hand, her fierce gaze echoing with the weight of countless battles fought. We choose light. We choose kindness. We choose to believe that together we can prevail. Even as he pushed closer, I let my heart sing. I imagined Elena standing before me, her laughter cascading like sunlight through leaves. I could almost feel her warmth, her spirit. She had fought fiercely for the love around her, and in seeking her, I awakened a dormant strength in myself. Wherever you are, I know you're here. I shouted, aglow with renewed strength. Your love never left me. I call upon you to rise from the shadows. We are bound together. The light cannot be extinguished. The shadows surged, the pressure mounting until the air was thick with anticipation, teetering on the edge of a precipice, as if the universe held its breath. Time hung delicately in an uncertain balance as an echo burst forth amidst the sound, the manifestation of my heart's plea. Elena stepping forward from the darkness, a luminous figure glowing with warmth and love. Here, she said quietly, enveloping my heart in an embrace I had long yearned for. I'm here, and I will always be. Tears streamed down my face as the darkness staggered, unsure how to react to this unfolding brilliance. It's time to heal together, she murmured, the power of her voice weaving warmth through the chaos. With her presence, the shadows seemed to shrink, the figure in leather faltering as fear and confusion swept over him. No, this cannot be. He spat, rage twisting his features. You cannot defy the shadows. You don't realize, do you? Elena said, her voice resonant and resolved, shining brightly even among the dark. The light does not fight darkness with fear. It embraces it with love, transforming it into strength. Together we illuminate the path, and the darkness can't hold sway over our hearts any longer. With those words, the shadows hissed and roared, but they could not withstand the tidal wave of love that surged within us. We were resilient in unity, empowered by the bonds we shared. Each connection and every kindness we fostered lit the flame against the consuming night, propelling me forward as my heart beat in a furious dance. Together, we shouted, voices rising, a crescendo against the dark. As the shadows ricocheted with intensity, the figure in leather snarled, Frustration etched onto his face. This is not over. But as light burst forth, a radiant wave of warmth and acceptance that enveloped the room, shadows dissolved, melting into nothingness. The tension hanging above fractured, scattering dark remnants as we stood together with renewed hope, igniting something powerful within the core of you. And that luminous moment, I gazed up at the silhouettes of my companions, heartbeat aligned, kindness thriving, and shared love unyielding. The whispers of lost dreams unspooled gradually, unearthing the threads of our journey, weaving together the very essence of who we were meant to be. And as silence enveloped the room, there it was, a peace wrought from acceptance, forgiveness, and fierce love that had surmounted every trial. Realizing it was always there inside us, just waiting to ignite, I glanced around, finding solace among my loved ones, Yara, Victor, and now Elena, standing together. An unbreakable bond formed from each trial faced, and that moment of quiet, everything shifted. Thank you, I whispered to those gathered, gratitude spilling over like radiant sunlight. And just as the last vestiges of darkness fell away, the world breathed anew, a fresh canvas stretching before you as we stood hand in hand, united and free from the shadows that once threatened to swallow us whole. One radiant truth illuminated the fading chaos. We had learned to embrace kindness not just for others, but within ourselves, solidifying acceptance and love. And as I stood surrounded by those I had lost, those I had come to hold dear, I felt a wave wash over me, a profound clarity rising through the remnants of what once had been. In that fragile space, a final thought spread across the vastness of my soul as I exhaled the weight of our journey together, ready to embrace each new tomorrow. The shadows could never extinguish the light. Together, our hearts formed a haven that would forever shine in the darkness. Perhaps the greatest journey of all is not about fighting the shadows around us, but about illuminating the shadows within, transforming each wound into a badge of honor that told our story. And as we stepped forward into the warmth of the new dawn, we knew, without a shadow of a doubt, love would always guide us home.